This week's episode is sponsored by Change. Change is the #1 mentoring program that teaches you e-commerce from scratch. Change has a real community with real results. I have been working with Ryan for many years now and have attended many of his events and retreats across the world and got to meet members and the amazing community of like-minded people. Ryan works with a lot of big names in the business world, helping them build online businesses and e-commerce. Change offers personal one-on-one support, no experience needed, but like anything, this takes time and is not a get-rich-quick scheme. If you put the work in, you will get the results. E-commerce and online shopping is getting bigger and bigger. This is a great opportunity for anyone that is looking for financial freedom. For more information, go follow Ryan on Instagram at RyanJB, and he will guide you through the steps to help you get started and build a successful online business. You can now follow me on all my social media platforms to find out who my latest guest will be. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you're notified for when my next podcast goes live. And boom, we're on. And today's guest, we've got Terry Coulter. Terry, how are you?
Fine, thank you, James. Yourself?
Really well, thank you. You're here to speak for Lee Murray,
Yep.
who's over in Morocco. He's doing a 25 stretch for the £53 million robbery. He's been, a lot of people are saying hard done by. He got 10 years. Before it was too lenient and they've given him 25. The internet's a crazy world. Everyone's out there dropping Lee's name. I don't know how legit they are or how close they are to them, but we've got it for the horse's mouth that you're here to actually speak for Lee. But you've probably seen videos yourself of people now mentioning him and speaking about him. He brings views, but we're living in a day and age of guys trying to get out and other people are using his name.
Unfortunately, yeah, there's a lot of people out there talking nonsense, really, because there's a couple of guys out there talking about, oh, he spoke to me about the robbery, he done this, he done that. They don't know nothing about it. Lee was a very personal guy. I mean, I was round Lee at the time. I was training Lee. I didn't even know he was doing it. I don't think his own parents knew it. That was Lee. Personal. So all these guys that are on there talking this nonsense, really? Should you be? To me, they're just plastic gangsters wanting to try and make a name for themselves. Mm-hmm. And really it's wrong, because if a guy is having it hard, he's trying to get out of prison, and all these things are going on, people talking nonsense, people are close to him as well. And it's so wrong. So wrong.
You coached Lee for nearly 10 years, boxing coach. Lee was known for his striking. He could knock people out instantly. But before we get into all that kind of stuff, I always go back to the start of my guest, Terry, get more of a bit of understanding about you, where you grew up and how it all began.
I started boxing at 9. Born in Woolwich, South East London. My dad was a pro, so I sort of got into the sport. And then I retired and went on to coaching. I was an amateur coach before a professional coach. And then sort of like, had a good career really. And then I met Lee. Someone rang me and said, oh, this guy's looking for a boxing trainer. He does MMA. I said, I don't do MMA. He said, oh, this guy, he's somebody that's a good pal of mine, Steve. Introduced me to him. So after about 3 months of sort of dodging him, and I spoke to him a couple of times on the phone, and I agreed to meet him. So I met him at the Peacock Gym. And do you know, you're building the impression of someone and you think, oh yeah, I imagine what this kid's going to be like, spotty faced kid. He weren't. Totally different. Good looking, well built fella. And got him in the gym, started a little session with him. I watched him shadow box. And I took him on the pads. And I'd mimicked his body. I knew where the shots were coming. And I caught every shot and made him feel really good. Really good. But I see natural talent there. I thought, wow, you got some talent. But he was as green as the grass as boxing. And then hence we struck a relationship and I started coaching him. And his power was something else, just such a natural talent. And to see him where he is today, wow, breaks your heart.
How was his discipline back then as a young kid?
Oh, good. Yeah,
Was it?
he lived the life. He lived the life. He ate the right food. I remember showing him how to throw a left hook. And I said to him, right, they throw a left hook. And I said, the best way to do it, stand indoors on the stance and just throw it around the door frame. So I open the door, throw the left hook around the door frame. And he looked at me and I showed him. And I went home, he went home. Next day he come in. Oh my God, he perfected it. The left hook was perfected and he went, been practicing it all night. He lived and ate the sport. He loved it. So, you know, he was good, yeah.
Why do you think he took to it so much? Obviously, you get fighters and they need to work at their craft to be at the top of their game. Do you believe in people have natural ability and set out kind of who they should be straight away? Instantly, you know, this could be a world champion. Because even I think Costamato, when he seen Mike Tyson, he just knew this boy's going to be a champion. He's going to be a world champion.
Well, to be honest...
Did you see that straight away? Or were you thinking possibly loose cannon from the streets?
No.
Or did you see the ability?
When he walked, you know, as a trainer, you think, out of 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people walk through the door, one could go all the way. And he was that one. I just looked at him and thought, Jesus, something special. You know, if you think when I was training him, and we started moving around with Julius Francis, who was the British heavyweight champion then. And he was, you know, Julius helped him a lot. You know, brought him on a lot, sparring, because you learn a lot. And I remember David A coming down the gym and sparring with Julius. And I said, can Lee do a couple of rounds with you? And like David A said to him afterwards, you know, wow, you need to turn pro. You're something special. You've got godforsaken talent. You know, and so to see the way he went and where he is now is such a shame.
Did they have any boxing fights?
No, he didn't. No. Plenty of cage fights and a few on the street.
How was his temperament?
Do you know when people lose their temper? He was very calm, cool, collected. He didn't use, he'd fire himself up, but he weren't reckless. He thought about things. Mm-hmm. He worked out things, you know. He used
calculated.
To yeah, very, very, very. I was in a club with him. It was on a Sunday night, and we'd come back from a cage show, and we was in there, and obviously knew a lot of people. He knew a lot of people. And this fella ran up. He said, "What's the matter?" He said, "I had a doorman going to throw me out. I ain't done nothing." And he said, "I'll stand there. You'll be all right." And the sixth doorman come over, and they just got it wrong. Lee said, "Look," he tried to talk to him. He said, "Look, he's all right. He's with us." And the doorman weren't having it. And then the doorman said the wrong thing. And I've never seen it. Bang, 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 bang. 6 shots, gone. All 6, gone. Bang, 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 bang. Jesus Christ. Unbelievable. But you know what? When we got out and we got in the car, he never mentioned it. He never spoke about it. He didn't say, "See what I've just done?" The phone rang. He was talking a bit of business with someone. And that was it. Look, as though he just had a Sunday dinner. It was nothing. And then the next day in the gym, he come in and I was sitting there and I was wrapping his hands. And I said, quite intrigued about it, I said, "How did you calculate that last night?" He said, "Well, I knew they was being tricky and I knew they weren't having none of it." He said, "So my mission was to get the man at the back." He said, "Because if you concentrate on the man in the front, they get behind you." And that's a fighting brain. Just tells you straight away. But yeah, he had that ability.
Why did he never have a boxing fight?
To be honest, I wanted him to turn pro, and he was up for it. And I made approach to a big promoter, and he sold a lot of tickets, Lee. And he went, "Yeah, we'll have him." So I made the appointment, and 2 days before the appointment, he said, "No," he said, "I want to win a world title, win the cage, and then I want to do the boxing." So who am I to strip a man's dream? Who am I for me to say to him, no, do this, do that? He was his own man. So you've got to let a man follow his dream.
What age did they start working on his ground game? Because you watch the documentaries and there's little things out there about him when he's striking. It was one of the best. But when did they start working on his ground game? What age?
That was before I come along. He was actually...
So he was doing that before you?
He was doing that before me, yeah. I mean, he'd actually been to America, trained with Pat Miletich. He trained with Remco Pardo. He trained with Alexis and Paul, and done the shoe fighters. Mm-hmm. So he'd already done that. He was already doing that. So he was then looking for someone to help him with his hands, and that's where I come in.
Because it did say he joined 2 gyms, was one MMA and one boxing then?
That's right, yeah.
So you were, how far do you think he would have went if he stuck to boxing?
Personally?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all the way. I no doubt about it. He had a great chin, a great power, and a great boxing brain. He works things out. You know, he wasn't reckless. He weren't one of these guys that would go in there and, you know, go crazy.
See, that's surprising with his reputation, that sometimes people's head can go, but to stay calm, is that what makes a good fighter, to be calm in the chaos?
It is. Recklessness, you know, once you go lose your rag, it's easy. As a fighter, someone loses a rag in front of you and you're a good boxer, you'll take them apart. You'll just pick them apart. But he was very, very, very clever. And he never lost his temper. He never, you know, I remember, I won't say the fighter's name because I won't disrespect him, but I'll never forget, Heavyweight was down the gym and we just finished sparring with Julius. And this guy went, "Oh, I need some more sparring." Excuse me. And he was like a lot heavier than Lee, a lot heavier. But the guy was a bit of a liberty taker. So I said, "You're a lot bigger than Lee, don't." He went, no. I'll be all right. And he got in there and he hit Lee with a 5-punch combination, would have knocked any man out. I'll never forget, Mark in the gym went, "Whoa." I said, "Don't worry, mate. He's just woke the devil." Lee absolutely dealt with him like never seen before. You know, that's what he was calm. He didn't lose it. So that's an ability.
What were you thinking when he got his first MMA fight?
Well, he'd had a couple before he come with me, obviously. And
He won his first one. He won his first couple, did he not?
yes, he did. The first one I had with him was against the guy, Amir Ramavadi.
Were you in his corner?
Yeah, I was there with Alexis and Paul. Yeah, I was in the cage. And I remember going out, do something, and I walked down and the other guy's changing room was half glass. And I looked in, watched him warm up on the pads. And I just thought, okay. So I went back in the change room. I said, "Lee, left hook beats his keys straight away. As soon as you go out, bend the knees, throw the left hook. 4.5 seconds, bing, gone, left hook." Just amazing, you know? So yeah.
Did he see the vision then with the UFC? Because it was just kind of popping off then. You're talking, what, over 20 years ago? Was it 1999 and 2000 he started professional? Did they see the vision of how far it could have went? Or was it just going through the motions?
Well, as you know, at first, he was having trouble getting in there. And then he had the famous fight with Tito Ortiz in London.
Yeah, what's the story with that in Budapest? So was that UFC was in London that night?
The Royal Albert Hall, just round the corner. Yeah.
And he wasn't involved in UFC then?
No, he wasn't involved.
And Ortiz was world champion?
Light heavyweight world champion. And we all went, because Ian Freeman was fighting on there, he was fighting Frank Mir. And we all went to watch Ian. And obviously, Lee knew Pat Miletich and all that lot. He knew all them. So we went to the hotel a couple of nights before the fight. And I took my pads up there and I took them all on the pads, even Pat Miletich. And it was great. It was a great night. And then we went to the hall, the Albert Hall, and then we went to the after party, all paid for by Skylight. It was mad. It was crazy. And we come out, it was sort of like just breaking light. It's about 4 or 5 in the morning. And altercation started. Someone jumped on Pat's back and it got thingy. And then someone took a swipe at Paul Allen. Then Paul Allen knocked the geezer out. And then Lee was laughing. And then Tito went for Lee. And as he run at Lee, throwing a left hook, Lee hit him with a 5-punch combination, mate. And he was gone with the first shot. Absolutely KO'd him. And then obviously you've heard all the stories from Tito that he slipped and he got kicked. It was, listen, man up, mate. You got beat by another fighter. And that's it. And that's what happened. And then obviously he broke into the UFC. And he went to Vegas and he fought Amir Ramavadi. Not Amir Ramavadi. Sorry, what was his name? Oh. Anyway, the guy he fought him and he done him with an armbar. Everyone thought he was going to knock him out. And have you seen it?
Yeah.
And then you see him with the Tito giving it that, and yeah, and that would building up to a big fight. But getting there, you know, I'll go back a little bit. We got to Chicago, and the immigration held us for 9 hours. They weren't going to let him go. They weren't going to let us go to Vegas. We stayed there for 9 hours in immigration, and there was one of the guys there, one of the police there, that knew Lee from going out there before, stuck up for him, and we actually got there. We got to Vegas, and we saw like had the fight and come back. It was a nightmare coming back. Kept getting searched, stopped. It was like they was on him, and that was it. After that, they wouldn't give him his green card. He couldn't get it. The police here put the block on it. The government, yeah, ruined him.
How were you feeling when you seen him in the UFC? Were you proud?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, he's living his dream, isn't he? There's nothing like, I mean, coming out against, like, I mean, the crowd was brilliant. It was absolutely electrifying. It was an experience for me, let alone him.
What was that fight he won? And it's all the crowd started running towards the cage. There's a fight on the internet and the whole place.
Oh, is that when he
erupted.
knocks out Pele? Yeah, I think it was that when he knocked out the other Brazilian. He knocked him out. Yeah.
One of the best fucking crowds apparently ever seen.
I think he sold about 34 grand worth of tickets that night. Mental money. Mental. Yeah. Brilliant.
Were you having words with him to like calm down and just try and screw ahead to take this to new heights when he was going through the ranks and fighting in the UFC? Did you try to keep him tame?
You didn't have to. He was quite tame. He was quite. You didn't have to do that with Lee. Lee was quite self-controlling. Lee knew what he wanted. Lee knew how to train. And when he wasn't with me and he was with Alexis or Paul, he knew he'd done everything. He done everything. He didn't cut corners. You know, he didn't take drugs. He didn't really drink. You know, he really, really, really lived the life. He lived that life.
Because when he came out in the UFC and he's got that the boiler suit on,
I know.
like that set him off. Like when you hear Joe Rogan talking about him, you hear Dana White talking about him. Like he was a fucking proper man. Like he was. I don't know what to say about a fucking nutcase. Like he looked like it. He looked great. He looked scary, but he had the fucking presence. He had like an aura where you just, I ain't fucking with him. That's the impression I get just by watching the videos. Like you don't see many UFC fighters. John Jones, I kind of get that impression where you wouldn't want to fuck with him. He's got the same. They've got that same presence.
When he come out, when we was in the changing room and he got the gear out and put it on, I went, what the fuck? I didn't even know. I didn't even know he was going to do it. I ain't going to tell him not. You know what I mean? It was mad. It was great. Yeah, it was so like Lee. I didn't know he was going to do it, but he knew how to sell himself. He knew how to get people's attention. And he was selling himself.
But he done that before anyone.
I know.
That's the clever thing of it. He was doing that before anyone. Imagine him doing that now.
I know.
You see them at the press conferences and they're all talking that shit. Even when he won his first fight and he grabbed the mic and started talking, you kind of see them all doing that now. Like he seemed ahead of his time.
Yeah, he was. Definitely was. He knew what he wanted and he knew where he wanted to go. You know, it's just a shame he didn't fulfill his dream.
What about when he gets stabbed in the heart, nearly died, and then he says that they had to give him 8 pints of blood, and then he was at the UFC. He was at a fight. I think Joe Rogan says it, Dana White. He says he was walking about with stitches on just 2-3 weeks later.
Right, the story. I was with him the night he got stabbed. And it was crazy. It was my, God, I know, it was a few years ago now. Yeah. It was coming up to my 50th birthday. And he said, I want to take you and your family out. You know, it's your birthday. He was like a very generous guy. I'm going to take you to a restaurant. He said, no, I'm going to take you to a casino. So we all went up and signed. We all joined the casino so we could get my family in and that, me, him and Paul and that. And then we went to this club where he'd been the week before and he'd had a row with 6 rude boys, like, you know, proper outside. They was trying to have someone up and he jumped in and then they tried to stab him then, but he dealt with them. You know, he banged them all out. And I don't know quite what happened that night, but I think he was seen in there again. The phone calls were made, and that's what I think. And then when we come outside, it all erupted, and he got stabbed, and the blood was just pumping out the side of him. You know, and how he got through it, I don't know. And I think he discharged himself after a week. And I remember going to his house in Sidcup, and I said, there was a little fella there. I said, go and get a wheelchair. I said, well, I said, go and hire a wheelchair. So he got a wheelchair and we took him to Downson Park. We sat him in a wheelchair and we pushed him round. I was pushing him around in a wheelchair just to get him out. And so I stopped. I said, do you want ice cream? And he looked at me, he went, you fuck off. He went, do I want an ice cream? Well, the next day we went, he got out and he was walking, then he sat back down, then he got up and he was walking. And we went around Downson Park about 3 times that day. Next time we went, we was walking. And he was walking, he was all slumped over. And I said, put a stride in your step, mate. Stand up, man up, and get on with it. You got to get on with this. Next day, he was shadowboxing in the park. It was just phenomenal. And then the next day, we was walking around the park and he was shadowboxing. You know, I think a week later, he was back in the gym. Crazy.
Both different.
Totally different.
How hard is that for you to see someone who you try to take under your wing, to see the potential that he could have been, to then getting kicked out of the UFC, to then being stabbed? Did you then see Did you start to worry for him at that point?
No, Lee was one of these guys who would jump in and help anybody. And there's a lot of people out there, his mates and that, would cause problems because he was there and he would do the clear up, you know? So where are all them people now? Don't know, I ain't seen them. There's only a few, very few that are stuck with him. And that night, I actually got him to try to walk away. I said, walk away, Lee, come away, walk away. Come on, mate, don't get involved with this. And then the next thing, he broke away from me, and, you know, like, it's like a swarm. And it just got bigger and bigger, and you couldn't get near it. And obviously he got stabbed. But even then, obviously, I was gutted, you know, gutted. So I was really close with him. And but even then, after that, I knew he'd pull through. I knew he'd come. I knew he would get back fighting, and he did. He got back training.
Yeah, he couldn't get into America, but he ended up joining Cage Rage and ended up fighting Silva, who ended up becoming a UFC world champion.
Yeah.
Was that, he got stabbed, got fit again, and then fought
No,
Silva?
he fought
was that all before that?
That was before then.
Mm-hmm.
That was before that. That was before that. He never fought after the stabbing. He never fought again.
Never again?
No, he trained, but he never fought again, no. No, he never fought again.
How hard was that for him?
I think it was hard, but he was building his body again. He was building it in. He still had that desire and dream that he was going to do it. And whether you thought he could or he couldn't, that was his decision. If he said he was going to do it, hook or crook, he would have done it. He would have done it.
What about the Silva fight? How was that? Did you know how big Silva was going to be as well? He ended up a UFC great.
I know. He knew Silva was good.
And it was at points.
Yeah.
It was a close fight.
Yeah, it was points. But I think Lee overtrained for that fight. He wasn't himself. He was flat, you know, and Silva, I think, felt his power. And he went, well, I'm not going to mix this guy. I'm just going to kick him. And I mean, he destroyed Lee's legs with kicks and took Lee down. But he weren't going to let Lee unload these shots on him. He knew that he would cause him serious damage because he could punch the man. He could punch. Mm-hmm. So that I think was for Lee, I think he learnt a lot that time. He learnt a lot. And then if you see what Anderson Silva's gone on and done, that's a credit to Lee to go to distance with him. Mm-hmm. You know, so at that stage of his career.
Yeah, it shows you how good he was. Some of these guys are training since they're 8, 9 years old.
Yeah.
He was a late starter.
Yeah. Yeah, definite. I mean, have you seen the documentary Catching Lightning?
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
Mm-hmm.
You see Silva on it. He got quite tearful. You know, and there's a documentary that really is true to the fact. You know, you hear Lee's voice on it speaking regarding the robbery and all what went on. But obviously the government here, in their power of wisdom, they're not letting it be shown. They're just blocking it all the time. They're putting blocks up. You know, they're not letting it be shown. And if you know Lee, his words are true. I mean, they're all saying he was the mastermind. If we go back to the robbery, they're all saying he was the mastermind. How was he the mastermind? He didn't know that place existed. He didn't know that money was in there. Even the local police didn't know. In the interview, you see it when they interviewed the police on that Catching Lightning. They didn't even know that was there. But all the guys that got nicked here, oh, he was a mastermind, thinking they're going to get lighter sentences. That's how it must have been. And they've portrayed him to be this mastermind. And the police have done that because they really wanted him. They've actually pushed for that, to get that. But how can you say that? You know, he didn't live in Tunbridge. He didn't know it was there. I don't get it. I mean, he was tried in Morocco for what he'd done here. But he was held on remand for nearly 3 years. His solicitor out there told him to become a Moroccan citizen and he'd only get 10 years, which he done. But they tried him over there for what he'd done here, but he was a Moroccan citizen. So really, that shouldn't have happened. He was a Moroccan citizen then. So that time had passed. But for some way they done it. I don't know how they done it, but they done it. And then they've tried him there and he got 10 years. And then they kicked off over here. Now he's got another 15, so it's 25. Okay, if you're going to call them shots and you're going to say, right, you are now going to do 25 years, this on our say-so in this country, then he should be out now. They should say, well, come on, like the other lads are out, they're all out, but he's not. He's got to do the whole lot. There's no justice in that. There's no fairness in that. If you're going to do that, if you're going to call the shots here for something he done here, but he was then a Moroccan citizen when you put him in prison, which really was illegal. Really? I don't know how they done it. There's questions to be answered.
So the robbery, over 53 million quid. I think there was over 200 million there. I don't think it's anybody's place to say except Lee's or any of the mans involved to tell that story, because, listen, no matter how you look at it, it's a fucking great story. If somebody comes up to you and says, listen, I've got a job there for 200 million cash, it's probably too much money because the heat's going to be right on top, but you're 99% thinking, fuck it, I'm going to do it. But they've ended up getting caught. So this is where it all comes in. It obviously looks like corruption. It obviously looks like they wanted them. Everybody else has been released except Lee. Everybody's done their time. He's done over 20 years now. Everything seems to have went silent, but this is why podcasts are so important, because it sheds light on things from your side, from the horse's mouth, from someone who is close to him. It's not someone just talking shit for views. So we've got to Morocco. He's went to Morocco with Paul Allen. So Lee is a Moroccan citizen. There's no extradition.
That's right.
From Morocco.
No, he's a Moroccan citizen now.
How long did it take to catch them in Morocco? How long were they there for?
Oh, he weren't there that long. He wasn't there that long. Then obviously the police went out there, and then they set him up. Obviously, and they nicked him in the in the shopping mall, and then they held him on a drugs charge. Well, he never took drugs. He lived clean. So someone else had the drugs in the house, and somebody else held their hands up for that. But they held him on that, and I think it was 3 years, but he only got 9 months for the offence. For the drugs.
So he was on remand for 3 years?
They held him. They just held him. They just kept putting it off.
In prison, or was he on house arrest?
No, prison. Prison.
So
prison.
he never got the robbery charge. It was a drug charge at the start?
At that time, yeah, it wasn't the robbery. And then he got his Moroccan citizenship. Then he got took to court. How long was the trial here? Weeks. I think it was 6 hours, mate. Done. Gone. He's never been interviewed by the British police. And he even says on that Catching Lightning video, he wasn't the ringleader. They all played a part. Everybody played a part. But he was not the ringleader. He didn't invent it. He didn't set it all up. But everybody, the police, they've all pushed him down for that. And and it's not helping him. He really should be let out now to his family.
How long's he done?
God. What's it? 20? 19 years. I mean, and all the other boys are out, but he's not.
Does he regret that decision staying in Morocco?
You'd have to ask him that one, because it's one of them, there's certain things that have happened in his life since he's been there that he wouldn't change. And that's not for me to talk about. But then there's that other part. I remember speaking to him when he was in prison there, early days. I remember speaking to him, and I said, come on. No, I'll only get 10. Yeah, and okay, it's backfired on him. Okay, it's backfired. But what was wrong is that illegal part where he was now a Moroccan citizen. So really they can't try him because he's now a Moroccan citizen, but he's committed a crime here. So if it was the other way round, they wouldn't be able to do it. But they done it. They managed to get him to court, give him the 10, government here kicked off, give him another 15.
How long did that take when he got the 10 to then get another add-on? Did he know that was coming straight away?
3 months.
So straight away. So it looks as if it's all been planned.
Of course.
Yeah. They've done him for the drugs, held him in, worked their way, changed the laws.
Yeah.
Because he can't get, for me it looks like you can't get tried for a crime in another country you've done in another country.
That's right.
Especially there's no extradition from Morocco.
Yeah.
So it's obviously all planned, and because his reputation, UFC fighter, made an example of.
Yeah.
And how, when he got the 10, is he thinking then, sweet, how does the Moroccan law work? Are you out after half? Have you got to do 2/3?
You do the lot.
Full 10.
So he'll do the full 25.
But even the 10 is still like a 20 stretch here.
It is, yeah.
Because Paul, did he not get a 15 or a 17 and done half?
Paul come back, didn't he? Paul come back. And then what he got, and then he obviously had his deal because he pleaded guilty, and that was it. And then he was out, But all the other lads are out, and he's still there. So
how long was his trial in Morocco?
6 hours. about 6 hours, I think.
But how can they even have a trial? Because they wouldn't have any witnesses. They would have had nothing.
No.
So how can they try him then? Is that the first of its kind ever?
I believe so, yeah. And I believe he pleaded not guilty. But he was in a foreign country. He said, well, not guilty. But they found him guilty, and there's no jury there. It's just the judge. Just said, you're gone, mate. That's done. That was
there any deal on the table?
No, nothing.
So he's got his 10. He's probably thinking, right, sweet.
I'll do me 10. He's already done the 3.
Yeah.
I don't know if that comes off. I don't know how their law works. And then 3 months later, they took him back, and he got another 15.
Can you appeal in Morocco?
I think they've tried appealing. They've tried to get him home to come back here, but it's just all falling on deaf ears. No one wants to know he's like forgotten, and I really think it's wrong what they've done to him. It's disgraceful. You know, if you're going to apply a law in this country for a Moroccan citizen in that country for a crime he committed here, yeah, then okay, fair enough. Give him the same deal these boys have got.
Mm-hmm.
You're calling the shots, not the Moroccan government, you. British government.
He can't be tried again or anything, can he? If he never got fun out of the UK.
No, it's Lee Murray, isn't it? You don't know with him.
Surely not, though. Like, it's been tried in Morocco, but they're not going to try and pull a fast one and change any laws and try him here. No. Especially if he's done 20 years.
Yeah.
But is it a possibility they could try and fuck him over?
I don't. You don't know. You just don't know, do you? I mean, if they come back here, say they let him out in Morocco and he come back here, I should think soon as his feet touch the ground here, they'll drag him in for something. They'll have him in. You know, look, he committed a crime. No one died. They nicked a few quid. There's worse atrocities going on in this country now. People getting lesser prison for worser things. Come on. It's not right. Something's wrong. Something's drastically wrong. It's corrupt. We got, as far as I'm concerned, I've always said it before this anyway. We got a corrupt government, mate. They're corrupt.
Yeah, look at all the nonsense. All this shit they're doing. They get community service.
I mean, there was an issue. I think I sent it to one of Lee's family where there was a gang, 4 or 6. They committed this horrendous crime and they got stupid prison. Worse than what Lee done. And they got stupid prison sentences. You think, wow, how does that work? You know?
Why has there not been uproar from the British public or people in the UK for someone getting 25 years in a country that never committed any crime?
Because I think in all of it, the way they've done it and the way they've shut it up, and that's why I think this catching lightning thing, if you actually sit and watch it like you have, what did you think of it yourself?
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and it shows a lot of things in there about Lee, of the sort of man he is. Mm-hmm. You know, he ain't that bad man, and if you knew him, he's a gentleman, a proper gentleman, one really nice guy with a massive heart and would help anybody. No one knows that side of him. No one's seen that side of him, but he is one hell of a nice guy.
What's the petition for people to sign? The Lee Murray petition. What's the petition? That people, I'll leave it in the link in the description. People can sign a petition to try and push it towards Parliament for the Free Lee Murray petition. I'll put it in the description because I can get these 10,000 signatures.
Yeah.
For get people to talk. How's his time been in the Moroccan jails? Has he been moved about jails or is he in the same jail?
He was in one, then he moved to another one. Now he's in another. It's a high security one, isn't it? Yeah, he's in a proper high security one, and he's having it hard. It's not easy. It's not easy. He's having it hard. You know, it's not like you got a pool table in a recreation room and a gym. I think he's banged up 23 hours a day. You know, it's not good.
What's the food like?
Shit, isn't it? Absolute shit. Yeah, absolute shit. But it used to be they could pay monthly, and he would get chicken and rice and whatever he could get through the kitchen. But
is he still training?
He'll obviously do his bit of training in the gym. Yeah, in the cell. What he'll do, he'll keep himself fit. He's got to keep his mindset, and he's got to have some sort of mindset to be doing that. That's hard, what he's doing.
Because it is torture. Like you say, nobody was killed. Listen, robberies, I've interviewed enough bank robbers. I've had no Razor Smith on. He'd done countless banks, over 100 banks. Love the guy to bits. I'm not here to judge. I've had murderers on, drug lords, bank robbers. Got a lot of time for them all. But the robbery he done, no one was harmed. It was a turn they done. It was a fucking great turn, if I'm honest. I'm not condoning it, so nobody shoot us in the fucking comments, but nobody was injured.
No.
20 years is enough. You look at Charlie Bronson, he done a robbery and he's been there for nearly 50 years, so it's sad. But then with his health deteriorating and no one caring, I think he's had frostbite as well because of the winter.
He's had a lot of trouble with his stomach. A lot of trouble with his stomach. Yeah, it's really, you know, people say about human rights, and you can agree with it or you don't agree with it, you know. But he's got no human rights. They've took it all away from him. They've stripped his soul, really, haven't they? They've stripped his soul. They've stripped him. You know, if he comes out now, that man's learned so much by being locked up. If he come out now, he'd be totally different. I think he would be in a gym, getting kids off the street and putting them into a sport, because that's him. That's what he would do. And try and, like, because of the knife crime we've got and being a stab victim himself, I think he would be a great asset because people would look up to him, you know, as a role model, because he is not as a thief, but as a fighter. You know, I think that would be great, but will he get that chance?
But he's lived and breathed it. Everybody thinks they're a gangster. Everybody thinks they're a bad boy. Everybody thinks they can fight, especially, I'm talking about men, but he has lived it. And like you say, you know firsthand that he's making changes to try and be better, to try and, like you say, to come out and then help people. Like, that's all you can ask. Like, I've interviewed enough men who's then going speaking in schools and prisons to try and tell people it's a fucked up life. There's never any gold at the end of the rainbow. It's just all an illusion that we can buy into. And if he's left it firsthand and try to learn and try to be better, then you've got to give the man a chance. You've got to then fight for him and put the light on how fucking corrupt the system is. The system's corrupt all around the world. Unless you've got the connections, unless you start banging down the door as well, then there's never going to be change. I interviewed a guy called Joe Steele. They done 23 or 25 years in prison for the ice cream murders in Glasgow. Always pleaded they're innocent. Kids were killed. Always pleaded their innocence. And it was the brother, Johnny. He ended up breaking his brother out of prison, handcuffing him to Buckingham Palace gates. And because of the attention that it got, people started then looking into the case. So it's good that you can keep your head down and try and remain silent, but remain silent. The government won, because then nobody's banging down the door, nobody's creating noise to then create unrest, and then people start going, yeah, maybe you're right. So it's good that you're here today as well and speaking from it firsthand. You know what he's going through, you know what he's done, you know what he's going through, and you know how he is as an individual now. And like you say, you just want a fair chance. You want to get out and try and do good. But if he comes out, listen, he'll be a superstar. He'll get books, he'll get movies, like it's a movie there. There's the police frightened of the attention it will get because of the limelight that he's going to get.
This is it. I think what you said there, you hit the nail on the head, you know, because if you knew Lee, you used the word there just a minute ago, gangster, there's loads of them about, you know. I wouldn't say Lee was a gangster. What I would say Lee was a very hard man, a very, very hard man, tough man, hard. And he committed a robbery. Now, Lee was never a bully. Lee would never go and bully anybody. Lee wouldn't just go and hit someone. If you went in his world, you caused him a problem, yeah, he'll fight you. But he wouldn't go and pick on Joe Soap down the road. You know? He's a family man. An honest guy who's made a mistake, and he's entitled to his second chance in life, like anybody else. He's entitled. And I hope this podcast can open people's eyes and get his name out there again and start pushing buttons to do something. Because at the end of the day, the man should be home with his family now.
What's the Moroccans saying about it? What are they saying over there? Has he got a date?
It all falls on deaf ears. You think you're going somewhere, and then it all just goes peters away again. It just all falls on deaf ears. It's not how can I put it? A country that will, you know, that you're in there and that's it. You're just a number, aren't you? Just a number. Yeah, you're in there.
How many people are in the prison over there?
I ain't got a clue. I haven't got a clue. And if I wanted to go and see him, I couldn't go and see him because I'm not family.
Is he getting visits?
He does. His family do go out there. Yeah, yeah. When was the last time they went out? COVID. Yeah, because it's it's hard. It's hard for the family to do it. You know, it's hard.
So he's not had a visit in 5 years?
No.
Fuck, poor bastard, man. Like, fuck me. Like, that was heavy in itself. 5 years?
Yeah.
How does he then keep fighting with that fighting spirit to try and stay alive to get out without just giving up?
He must have a fucking great mindset, mate, to set his mind and to stay sane. He's unbelievable. How he's coping with it. I'd take my hat off to him. There's a lot of men would have folded.
Does he do much reading?
Oh yeah, he does a lot of reading. He studies a lot. He's a very educated fella. He's very educated. He's nobody's fool. He's very educated, and that's why when all these other podcasts come out and all these people talking about, oh yeah, he was this, he was that, they're doing the man no favours. They're just people. They're giving people the wrong impression of him because they want to be out there themselves. Go and commit your own robbery. Go and do your own thing. Go and knock someone out on the street. Go and do your own bit of business. Leave that man alone. You know, stop trying to make a name for yourself and become a plastic gangster talking about him. You know?
Does that affect his parole and try to get him out?
Because people watch YouTube, people see these things, they go, oh yeah, he was a wrong one. No one, no one knows the true Lee. You know? And some of these people know him. I mean, there's one guy there, Alex Reed. Oh, yeah, he sat and spoke to me about the robbery. Lee never, ever spoke to him about the robbery. Lee ain't spoke to that man for years, even before that, you know? Why is he getting himself out there? When he fought Lee, he got disqualified. He was going no bout. Oh, he turned his back on me. Lee turned your back on you? Yeah, little wimp, shut up, behave yourself. He shit himself in there. That's be all and end all. Shit himself in there. And then, so he didn't have to fight Lee again. He went and joined the London Shoot Fighters, become a teammate. You know, come on, behave yourself. You know, but these people, why are they doing it? I don't know. I don't understand it. You know, and I've been asked loads of times to do things, and I think I've done one once, and I didn't speak to the family, and I upset the family. And I didn't do it intentionally because I'd done it for no personal gain. I never got paid for it. And I was duped into it. And when I'd done it and the way it was come out, I thought, wow, that wasn't how it was. You know, that's not how it was coming. They cut it and edited and made it look really not good. Mm. And then obviously I met Pat, who done the Catching Lightning. And yeah, and then he sort of, then obviously got to know the family. And he's like yourself, he's trying to help him, you know, and then that got pushed aside. They don't want to show that. But I mean, for anyone out there's got a Fire Stick and it's on there, watch it. Just watch it. Watch the 4 episodes. You'll learn a lot about the man.
So why was it banned, Catching Lightning?
Well, apparently there was something about a shooting in Bexley Heath that Lee was supposed to have been involved in, and someone tried to put a block in. It was all a load of rubbish. I mean, it's like, I remember that incident, but Lee was nowhere near in Bexley when it happened. But, you know, you'll get something, and this is how things start. Oh, I wonder if Lee Murray done that. And then the 5th person it got to, yeah, Lee Murray done that, it gets changed. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I remember being in Holland with him, and someone ringing him and saying, we was in Holland training with Remco Pardo. Someone went, oh, Lee, God, you just knocked them geezers out his ends. So we told him, someone's knocked a couple of geezers out. I said, that was Lee Murray. And he was in Holland. So people use his name unwillingly, you know? Mm. It's crazy. People, I don't get it. I mean, Lee, and this is funny, Lee was actually in a club with Paul Allen. And Lee sat down at a table and there was 2 girls sat down. And this girl was cussing her bloke, telling her mate about her bloke. Like, you know, he's getting a bit naughty. She said, and she went, oh, I've told him. Oh, speak to Lee Murray. And Lee went, and then Lee, he's sitting there, but she's dropped his name, and he went, oh, you know Lee Murray? She went, yeah. He went, how old do you know? She went, we're like that. He didn't even know the girl. And of course, he strung her along, hasn't he? And then he's told her who it was.
But we're living in a world, we're living in a social media world. My job is to interview people, and I know people waffle as well. My job, listen, the British public aren't fooled. They aren't fools. We can see through bullshit. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? So if you're going to portray yourself as something that you're not, you will get seen through. Maybe not the first time, but when you start telling the stories multiple times, and then they don't add up the other times you say them, it's just the world we're in. Everybody just wants to be tough. Everybody wants to be game. It's fucking crazy.
Why?
Views, likes, attention. Everybody's ego driven, and it's crazy. It's only getting worse. It's only getting worse. You get men dancing on fucking TikTok and Instagram. Like we're living in a very weakened generation where men are becoming softer.
Well, I'll tell you now, I've known Lee for a long time now, and I've got to know him. I've had my laughs with him. We've had some great laughs. We've had our moments. And I could tell you, I was in the gym training, and there was a couple of guys in there, knew them, just talked to them. Like they knew me, watched me on the pads with my fighters. And then a guy come in about a week later. He said, "Oh, but how's Lee?" I said, "Oh, he's all right." Yeah, thank you. Then these two guys went, "You used to train Lee Murray?" I said, "Yeah, you never said." I said, "Well, why would I? Why would I? Why would I walk around saying, oh, I train Lee Murray?" And they're the sort of people that I'm not like that. I'm quite personal, you know. And Lee was a fighter and I was a coach, you know. But I never ever went around and going, "Oh yeah, I'll get Lee Murray. I'll train Lee Murray." I trained Lee for his talent and the passion we had, you know.
How old are you now, Terry?
I'm 70 this year.
You fucking look great, because when you says it was your 50th, I thought, man, he's got his fucking numbers mixed up. Because it was over 20 years ago, so I'm thinking...
I'm 69, so I'm 70 in October.
That's fair play. You still training?
Yeah, still coach, still got a fighter. Yeah, he's fighting on the 14th of July.
Who's that? Constantine
Williams. He's a good fighter. Yeah, he's with Steve Goodwin.
Many fights has he had?
This will be his 10th. He was Southern Area middleweight champion. Mm-hmm. We just boxed Linus Adofi for the English title. Linus was 22 wins going into that with 10 KOs, and it was our ninth fight. We lost on points, but he gave Linus a great fight, and I said to him, we need to drop down the weight. He done middle really easy. He actually weighed in under the limit, so we've dropped down to light middle, and we've got a Southern Area title fight at light middle. So yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yes. So I'm still coaching. Yeah, it keeps me fit.
British boxing's I think it's in a good place now. A lot of great fighters, a lot of big stadium sellouts. The Saudi one, I've been to a couple of fights over there. I just don't like the vibe. There's no atmosphere. And
it's not the same.
It's just something's missing.
Yeah.
I'm going to the Liam Cameron and Whittaker fight next Sunday.
Yeah. What's your views on that?
Oh no, he's took a dive. He's took a fucking dive.
Put it there, brother.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, you're right.
No, he took a dive because I interviewed Liam. Yeah. Just a great guy.
He's a nice guy.
He was underestimated, and he's a tough opponent. I think he was European champion, I'm sure. Yeah. And lost his kid, addiction issues, fucking bounced back. Yeah. And he won. For me, he was winning. When I first watched Whittaker, I liked him. I thought, this kid's good. I like Prince Nazim. I grew up with Prince Nazim era. And,
but he was a special talent.
Yeah. He's not fucking Prince Nazim.
No, he's an actor.
But when you see the first 5 fights, you think this kid's got it. But when you actually see him fighting against someone who's got it, he ain't shit. He's not got the heart. How the fuck can you... Why would you... That's like fucking Lee Murray being stabbed and then saying, oh, and if he had a fight, he would probably still take it. He's fell over the ropes, knowing he was getting fucking beat, and then being carted out in a wheelchair.
Well, there was when he boxed, the one before that, when he tapped the guy on the head, took the piss, and he won the fight. Social media is not a good thing to be on. It's poison. And I put a comment up, let's see what happens when he gets hit on the chin and taken into the trenches. Mm-hmm. And everyone said, oh, this guy's going to, you don't know what he's talking about. Another trainer, I won't say his name, this guy's be world class. Well, of course, he got hit on the chin, got took in the trenches, and he went over the ropes, and he pulled out. And then people was coming on there on the previous statement, which was months after, and saying, wow, mate, you called that right? Oh, yeah, you called that right? Oh, yeah, and I'm getting a lot of, about 20, 30 comments. And I went to the trainer, well, where are you, mate? You know, what you got to say about it? You know, because if I got it wrong, I'd go on there and say, I put my hands up there, I got that wrong. Mm-hmm. You know, but yeah.
Yeah, I hope Liam wins. I like him. I'm supporting him. We've got Eubank and Ben fight. Yeah. But it's just a classic because of their fathers. Do you know what I'm saying? Whether he can handle Eubank's power, get up 2 weights, it's a different ball game.
Don't interest me.
Yeah, it's the same. It's a nothing fight, isn't it?
I'll see that fight. If it was in my back garden, I wouldn't open my curtains to watch it. Mm-hmm. I've got no interest in that at all. I just think it's a load of hype. It's become a circus.
Yeah.
It's become a circus act. And I mean, I've been in it for years, like 36 years now as a pro trainer. And I've been on some big shows and there's some great fighters about. But now it's becoming a little bit of a circus act.
Yeah, but they're trying to copy the UFC with all this bullshit at press conferences. For me, Joe Calzaghe's the greatest, the best in Britain.
Great fighter.
So
His record says it all.
He doesn't get the recognition he deserves. Welshman, not popular, but unbelievable fighter. If you know box, same as Mayweather. I rate Mayweather. I know he gets hated, but I think he's unbelievable. His defence and everything he's achieved.
And then we go back to Lee, Mr. Murray. If he'd have took that different path, where would he be now? He'd be up there. He definitely would have made it. You know, because he had that desire and passion. Yeah, has
he ever spoke about that to you?
Yeah,
how his career's from something special to then.
He actually said to me in a letter, "I'm sorry." What was the words he said? "I'm sorry I didn't go all the way with you because I would have made you a rich man." He went, "I'm sorry, I denied you that." He said, "Because I know if I'd have done what you said, we would have gone a long way." But yeah, I said to him, "You've got nothing to apologise, mate. You take your way in life, and you can only to say someone, look, this is what I think. But if someone's got a dream and desire, you can't strip them of that. You've got to let them do it. You know."
That must be the saddest thing, because boys from the street, I know plenty of people who came from the street, not really got anything. Everybody's got potential, but when you come from the streets and you see you get involved in a life of crime, whether it's selling drugs, whether it's doing whatever you're doing, you end up with a big stretch. You kind of accept it. You probably regret it. Some people just think that's their life, but it must be even harder though if you've got a talent and you see how big the UFC has become.
Jesus,
to then being in prison. Do you know what I'm saying? Because the world's at your feet, to then losing it and then doing a sentence and then thinking, fuck, because the UFC is everywhere now. It's probably on par with boxing.
I'd say it's, I've been in Vegas with Lee and when he fought, and that experience was something else, and I've been to big boxing shows here. I was at the Frank Bruno one when he boxed at Wembley and he won the world title. I had a fire on that night, fighting on the show. And the atmosphere there was nothing like the UFC. The UFC blows it out of the water, totally blows it out of the water. They know how to sell a show. They know how to promote a show. They know how to do it. And what I like about the UFC, you've got that, you're the champion, you've just won the title, you've got a voluntary, then you're fighting him. Do your voluntary. If you don't fight him, you get stripped to the title, and they fight whoever's next in line. Here, some of the fighters they put in, I think, why they got him out of graveyard? I've never heard of them. Do you know what I mean? He said it's one of them, So yeah, I think Lee would have been something special. I think he'd have been a lot bigger than Conor McGregor. Let's be honest with you. He just had that flamboyancy about him, and he knew how to sell himself. We said that earlier when he come out in the gear.
It's having that X factor.
Yeah,
he had it. Yeah. McGregor's got it. Whether people like him or not, I loved McGregor going through watching his fighting career. Like, I believed in that law of attraction, the synchronicity and believing in yourself. Like, it was just on a different frequency. McGregor, he just knew, and then when they achieved it all, as soon as that money came, Mayweather money, it just seemed to have not went downhill, man. He's just living his life. He's got kids, a family man, but it just seems to be, you can see when people lose themselves to drinking, drugs, it's not the answer, and people can listen, the guy's earned it, but you still got kids. For me, it's to lead by example. For me, it's to, that freshness seems to have went away from McGregor. He's fucking loaded, so who am I to say? But when you first see him and winning the double, being the first to win the double champions 2 weight divisions, like, it's unbelievable. Knocking Aldo out 13 seconds. Do you know what I'm saying? Then getting that 100 million from Mayweather. But you see the change in men, you see the shift, because that's what some people tell you, not to achieve your goals too early, because once you achieve them, what else is that to achieve? Same as Tyson Fury, beat Klitschko, won all the belts, multi-millionaire, and had the biggest depression of his life. It's crazy to see.
See, now when Lee done that robbery, he wasn't skint. He had a good life. He wasn't struggling. So if he'd have reached the top in his fight career, I don't think the money would have spoilt him or ruined him. because he wasn't money or he wasn't, you know, that way in his mind. That wasn't his mindset. He just wanted to be the best. He wanted to fight the best. And I totally get what you're saying. When you get to that pinnacle of your career, where so much money takes over, and you become a different person. But I don't think that would have done. I think he would have carried on doing what he'd have done. But obviously, he never didn't take that road.
Do you think though, if he was still in the UFC, he wouldn't have done the robbery?
If they hadn't have put the block on his card here on a trumped up load of rubbish, so he couldn't get his green card to go out there, no way would he have done that robbery. He'd have been in the UFC. 100%. 100%. He wouldn't have done that. He would have, his fight, that was his dream. That's what he wanted to do. And he lived the life. He lived that life. Training, he was phenomenal. And what I liked about him, you showed him something. He's got it. He had it. His brain was proper fighting brain, proper fighting man. Yeah.
Does he know, like when Dana White speak about him and Joe Rogan, some of the biggest names on the planet, does he get a heads up that they speak about him?
He must do, yeah. Yeah, he must do. Yeah. Yeah, he knows. But he's not one of these guys that done what he done to be famous. He done what he done because he done it, and that's it. You know, I suppose because he could. I don't know. You know,
it's funny because I interviewed a man called Sam Miller. Sam Miller was involved in the IRA. They called him. They were involved. The Blanket Boys. They used to get tortured every day. Never got a visit in 12 years. They done a lot of damage. They killed all the screws. He wanted to kill more, like fucking proper. These men, you would never think of it. But the Irish are a different breed. I always say the Irish, the Scousers, like a kind of different breed. But came out, changed his life, left the IRA, met his missus, went to America, worked in the casinos. Life is going great. He's making money. He's away from the madness. He got offered a job in America, a bank job. He says, nah, my life is too good. It must have played in his mind. He thought, fuck it. Ended up doing it. One of the biggest robberies in New York history. Ended up getting a life sentence. Like something, I don't know what it is. This, like,
something in there.
His life was sweet. Like you said, Lee had money.
Yeah.
He was doing his thing, but there's something, and there's madness in the mind where he thought, I just couldn't say no. He couldn't say no. Ended up getting a life sentence, but the president phoned the prison. Fucking mad story. And they get out in the Good Friday Agreement in America. Unbelievable story. Sam Miller.
Wow.
Fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he couldn't say no. His life was sweet.
Yeah.
Everything that he dreamed of, peace. That's what he used to fight for, peace. And he just wanted peace. But there was something in him that just thought, fuck it, I'm
it's
doing
that
it.
saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can take the man off the street, right? But you can't take the street out of the man. He's still in there, isn't it? Do you know, he's still got it in there. Something clicks.
Everybody's got it in them.
Yeah.
So how can we get how can we help Lee then? For people watching, for people listening, how can we get involved and help Lee and help promote the message?
Get a petition, sign it, sign a petition. You know, let's get that rolling again. Let's get it moving. You know, it's such a thing that it needs to be brought to attention. It really does. It really does. So what they've done is wrong. What they done is right. How they done it, I don't know, but they done it, and that's the government for it.
And how much has he worked on himself, Lee? Because it's all right, people promoting the gangster shit, the robberies, and how tough he was, but how much has he actually worked on himself to then for people to go, yeah, he deserves a chance? Because, like you say, everybody promoting that message and forgetting the guy's actually served 20 years. He's been kind of tortured in prison. He's kind of been left in he's told. He's not had any visits in over 5 years. His health was deteriorating. Like, how does people then, like I say, get involved and push the message and try and get some light on it where the government eventually open the door and go, okay, it's your time to leave?
I'd love to see a march. I really would. I'd love to see all the people that think he deserves another chance put a banner up and walk to Parliament and stand outside. I'd love to do that, but you've got to get people together. You've got to get that. You've got to get that and let it work. I mean, I honestly believe, that man, if he come out, he'd be a different man. He's done what he's done.
For the better?
Oh, 100%. 100%. He wasn't a dangerous man before he went away. He's not a dangerous man. You know? He would come out 100% better. Yeah.
Remember, when people hear the stories and watch the videos, they just see the beating the world champion outside a nightclub, they see the stabbings, they see the robbery, so people are automatically going to think, this guy is crazy. But when you're actually listening to yourself and saying he's quite intelligent, reads well, trained hard, dedicated to his craft. So I always thought party boy then. I didn't even know. I just thought he used to. Because when I see the nightclubs and Buddha and the booze and...
Yeah, he likes going out. He loves dressing in flamboyant clothes. I mean, I used to put clothes on. I'd look at him and go, really? Like, you're going out like that? But he could. And that was part of the parcel of him. That was him. That's how he was. But he was he's such a lovable person. He really is a really, really nice guy. I would never, ever, ever get him. Listen, I've been doing this all my life. I'm a family man. I've been with my wife since she was 16, 49 years to be been together. And I'm proper grounded. I wouldn't get involved with gangsters. I wouldn't get involved with bullies. I wouldn't. It's not me. But him, he's none of them. He's a gentleman. The man's a gentleman, a proper lovely fella, and got a kind heart. Proper fella, and he deserves that second chance in life. And I just think people should get behind him and start kicking, and shouting and screaming.
Do you think people's forgot about him?
Yeah, a lot of people have. A lot of people have. Yeah, because it's in the past now, isn't it? It's in the past. It's gone. It was 20 years ago.
Do you think a lot of people used him back in the day?
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
And with his loyalties.
Yeah, a lot of people used him when he was on the street. A lot of people, as I said to his family, where are they now? Where are they now? Because I tell you now, close to him, apart from his family, forget his family, because they'll always be close, I would say, he's got about 4 or 5 people around him that he can trust, that he can rely on. Will always be there for him, and that's sad to think the amount of people he's helped, Yeah, it's sad, so sad.
How close or how far is it to actually getting out?
Go there, toss a coin on that one, brother. I don't know.
Could they get out possibly tomorrow, or is it you're talking years in advance?
Well, apparently the king can get up and pardon someone. He could get up tomorrow and say, I'll let him out, and that's it, it's done. Apart from that, I can't see him coming out. In the near future, I can't see him coming out.
It's a hard thing to say, but being so close to him, is there potentially he could die in prison?
What, never come out, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, that would be, it's when it gets to the tariff time when he should be coming out. Is there something else could be slung at him? We don't know. We don't know, because the government here are all bent in keeping him there. They're all bent on it, they're keeping him there. So you're fighting the system, aren't you? You're fighting the system.
But it's crazy to get convicted of a crime in a country that the crime wasn't committed, and then the trial was only 6 hours, so he never even had a fair trial.
No. Well, he's never even been interviewed by the police. All these policemen on the catching lightning and the prosecutor saying, oh yeah, he's definitely the ringleader. How do they know? Listening to Joe Soap down the road say it. Listening to Billy Bloggs over there saying it. How do they know? Until you interview the man. How do you know?
Has any of the British coppers ever spoke to him?
No. He's never been interviewed. Never been spoken to him. No.
What about the embassy or anything?
The embassy spoke to him, but nothing about that. It's just at first, because he was still a British citizen, his welfare, they used to go and see him, was it once a week? Take him in McDonald's, was it? Once a month, take him in McDonald's. And then, but no, that was it. And as soon as he became a Moroccan citizen, that was it, gone. See ya.
How long did it take him to become a citizen?
3 years.
So see if he never became a citizen, would he have got extradited? But it was his dad not Moroccan?
His dad was Moroccan, yeah, and he was in the family book out there, so I don't think they could have done. But I don't know on that. I'm not sure on the law on how that worked. So I can't comment.
How old is he now? So he's only 47 now?
Yeah.
Still young.
Yeah. Well, he is to me.
Yeah. Did you ever spar each other?
No. I know I made a point when I was a coach never to spar my fighters because it's something that you can't lose that respect, that discipline, But I used to do a pulling and pushing exercise with him, and it's a crazy exercise, but it's hard. And he's strong. And you put your hands around each other's necks. You try and pull again, you know, and then you push against each other. I try and push. Then you pull, then you push. I used to do it with him, and he couldn't budge me. He went to me, "You're one strong fucker for your age." Yeah. I mean, I'm going back when I was 50. Like, "Oh, you're fucking strong, you are." And but he was determined to get me across the ring. He was determined. He would and he push. He didn't like he couldn't do it. He did, you know, and it was good. And all it was I knew how to base my feet and how to put the weight and stop him, because he was a lot stronger than me, you know. Put the weight there and hold him. So it was like a little bit of technique on me. And I still do it now with my fighters, and they still like, "Oh, you're so strong at your age." But it's something you do, isn't it?
What's your secret to keeping young and keeping fit, keeping strong?
Good woman.
How important is it to have a good woman by your side?
Very important. Very important. Very important. I think, you know, I got to a way in my life. I was 20 when I met my wife. She was 16. And I was going down a bad road in my life, because I had quite a bit of a thingy childhood, and I was going down a bad road. And I met her, and she's got 4 sisters. There was 5 of them then, and her mum and dad, and it was such a family unit. To me, it was alien at first, but then, no, I've got that family unit now with my wife, my son, my daughter, and my 4 amazing grandchildren. My oldest granddaughter's 19. So it's, and I've got that bond with them now, you know. So that took me down the right road, you know. So to say where I am, like, I can eat and drink what I want. I don't, you know, I can eat and drink what I want. I can do what I want. But when I'm in the gym with my fighters, when I do pads, I'm like having it's like a sparring session. I don't just stand there. I move with them. I still skip, still do a bit of bag work. It just keeps me fit.
Yeah, family life is what we're living in a society now where everything's changed. The divorce rate's through the roof.
Yeah.
Men are becoming weaker. Women are becoming more like boss ladies. For me, it's old school. The man provides and protects. The women are like the old school method of housewife, and the women nurturing and loving and raising the kids. I just feel as if everything's all backwards. Social media's.
Well, now we've got a thing where people have children and they both got to work because they can't afford not to. Well, when my son was born, my wife, I said, "No, you're not working." I had my own business at the time. I was working. I said, "No, you're not working." And then my Gemma was born. And she didn't work until they went to nursery, and then she got a little job back. And she still works now. She's a learning mentor in a school. She's been there 35, 36 years in the same school. You know, but she's being with Sue is like, that's my life.
Saved your life.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, 100%. So it makes you, and I might be nearly 70, but up there I'm 21.
I still feel fucking 21, but that sometimes can be a hindrance, because I still play football, I still do it with pad work, and I think, I'm fucking sore for days. See, when I play 5-a-sides, man, my calves, my legs.
Really?
A fucking 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like doing the pads?
Yeah. I had a couple of fights. I've had 2 fights now, but it's like white collar amateur, but I was fighting in the O2 in Manchester, but it was in front of thousands. It was like a so-called fucking celebrity thing. And listen, trained hard, 10 weeks. I done a bit of Muay Thai back in the day as well. But doing the pads and sparring, I always hate sparring. I always get scared, if I'm honest, Terry. I think, man, it's not as scared of getting hit. I don't mind that. I like the taste. I don't mind the taste of blood. It's crazy. I started to enjoy it. But it's the fear of being embarrassed. It's the fear of my ego getting dented. It's the fear of getting knocked out. But I trained hard. Went into the fight. We get moved to the main event. Came in front of thousands. My coach was saying, "Listen, these are different lights from the gym. He'll be in there fucking sweating. Have him in there waiting." So instead of me playing one song, I played fucking 2. So I'm coming out with a kilt on, and dancing about to make him nervous. But the time I got to the ring, I was fucked. I was fucked. The first round I blew, and it was only 4 rounds. And I don't care who you are. Everybody should be doing some sort of combat sports. Whether you don't need to fight, but just learning the basics. Yeah. Because you go from that loud, kind of boisterous fucking idiot who thinks they know everything to be more chilled. When I trained in the grip house in Glasgow, these kids are trained killers, but so pleasant. They look like skateboarders and just normal guys who don't say anything, but they could fucking kill you. I just feel as if you get into pubs and that now and everybody thinks they're game, but the majority of people can't fight anyway. I think the average man thinks they can fight 4,000 times more than what they actually can. But I loved that. I would do it again. But yeah, it's scary. It's fucking scary. I don't care who you are, man. I was thinking shit. Like, I was buzzing and I like to have a carry on, but I think that was nerves.
Yeah.
And then 7 minutes my entrance was. The time I got to the ring, I was fucked. And then as soon as I stepped under the ropes, I thought, fuck me. This is game time. And the nerves start kicking in. But you play the innocent as if you don't give a fuck. But I was fucking shite myself. But you overcome that fear. But see that fear, Terry, that I had after that fight? No drug in the world that I've took or bet what I've put on, nothing has ever felt better than that feeling.
It's a buzz, adrenaline. It's a buzz.
Yeah.
It's a buzz. It's a great feeling. And it is. Win, lose or draw, my motto is be gracious in defeat as you are in victory. Because at the end of the day, you're human beings testing yourself. And, you know, losing a fight doesn't mean you're finished. It doesn't mean you're in the world. You just go away and learn from it, and you go to the next level, and then you carry on. Do you know what I mean? So as a coach, I've seen loads of different fighters. I've had loads of different fighters, different aspects, and you get the fighters that are very nervous, then you get the fighters that are not. You got the fighters you got to G up. You got the fighters you just stay quiet with. They just like their own space. You can know what you're doing with them, you know. So I can just look at a fighter and go, like the first day I met Lee Murray in the gym. I just looked at him, I watched him shadow box. I said, do a bit of shadow boxing. Green as the grass, in boxing terms. But you know, you look at something, man, this guy's got natural talent. And I took him on the pads. And if I took you on the pads, if you come down my gym, I took you on the pads. Now, I've never took you on the pads, yeah. I guarantee you, I'd watch you shadow box for a minute, and I'd take you on the pads, and I'd catch every shot, and you'd feel you'd worked with me before. You'd feel that this was so normal to you. Even if you threw them 6 miles away, I'd catch them. I'll catch your shots. I'll make you feel good. Because I've got that ability to mimic you and go with you. Then gradually, if I was coaching you, I'll change you just by movement. Instead of keep saying, no, but you just adjust. You just move. And that's what I've done with Lee. And like I made him feel like $1 million. And then I said to him, right, 1-2, as hard as you can. And he went, crash. And I tried to tell you what, mate, I don't know, I held them. They were powerful. Then I said, right, come round, bring your back foot round. He'll sit down, bend the knees, heel off the floor, 1-2, but just fry it, fast and sharp. He went, crack. Oh my God, the power was like, he just looked at me and I say, where the fuck did that come from? And I said, it's all about balance, because this is the power here, it's where we're coming from. Please just deliver it. And he then grasped it. And then after we'd done the session, I said, before we start, I'll either work with you or I won't. You know, if I say to you, no, it's not a bit of me. I don't think because I've got to be able to have a relationship with that guy. I've got to love that guy. I've got to be able to bond with him, because otherwise it doesn't work for me, you know? And so I looked and I said, if I don't feel I can work with you, I'm going to say no, thank you. But please don't be offended. And if you don't think you can work with me, say the same to me, I won't be offended. So we finished the shot. Have you been in the Peacock Gym in Canning Town, the old Peacock? No. And they've got a canteen area at the front. So me and my mate Steve went down, sat down, had a cup of tea, and Lee went off, killed ready, he come out, sat down, he went, what do you think? I said, I'm be honest with you, fella. I said, yeah, I'll take you on. And his face lit up. And I said, you happy with that? He went, yeah. And he said, that don't me, shook hands, and we never looked back. And he just improved tenfold. But he had two very good wrestling trainers like Alexis and Paul on the shoot fires. They were good, you know. And as I say, he wanted to learn. He just wanted to learn.
How was that for you, like being the sort of father figure to try and see potential to then hearing and never just get 10 years, I get 25 years?
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. I mean, I've always been there for him, haven't I? From day one, I've always been there. I've never, I've always been there for him, and I always will. You know? And I hope, pray to God he does come out. Because when I pass this earth, I'd love him to carry my coffin with my son.
The way you're going, you can't. You'll probably live out, out fucking live everybody. Fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Because when you says 50, I thought, what the fuck's he talking about? Has he got his ears his thing mixed up? Because you look fucking great, and you've still got the physique.
And the only reason I wanted him to carry me coffee so I could shit on his head.
Is he hopeful of getting out though? Is he hopeful?
Well, I think he thinks every day he's got hope, hasn't he? Because if he don't, I don't know how he does it mentally. I don't know how he does it out there. I really don't. It's crazy. I don't know how he does it.
It's mad though about the opportunities that are going to be there for him when he does come out. There's going to be mega opportunities. Like I say, some of the biggest names on the planet are speaking about him. I think Paddy the Baddy was speaking about him. I think it was a Dana White thing. And then obviously Joe Rogan. Because you see the interview with Joe Rogan, and when he won his first fight with Joe Rogan, he actually fucking had dark hair there. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, he'd be on all these shows, and Dana would probably give him work. Do you know what I'm saying? The books, the movies, like the potential like, is unbelievable, especially if he's learnt and improved and then trying to help kids and then go to prisons. Like this, it's mad the potential, what he could be doing now. It can be even bigger now than it would have been 10, 20 years ago.
100%, 100%. And I think he would. I think he would, because I think he would become a great role model for people going down the wrong road. I think he would, I think it's like, as a coach, you get 20 kids in the door. If you can salvage one of them and put them on the right road, that's an achievement in anybody's book, because like when I first started out in coaching, it was hard, going back to when I was an amateur coach at the Fisher, and I was a junior coach there to start off, and your kids coming in the door and they come from broken homes, and to achieve things with them, take them up to the schoolboys and the ABC finals and they were living their dream then, it's a great feeling. And as a pro, to get a kid from zero to, and work with them, build, to get to that. And I think Lee would be good at that. I think Lee would have that talent to do that. I think he would be good at it because he's got a great fighting brain and he knows the game. He knows the fundamentals of it, And even though he was as green as the grass when I took him on, I learned things from him. And I'm still coaching now, and I go in the gym and I'm still learning. You never stop learning in this life. You never stop learning. And he's learned his part. He's learned what's right and wrong. He knows that now. So just give him that other chance.
What about for people who would maybe want to write him a letter? Because he would have thousands of fucking mail and probably up his spirits, but you might get a few dickheads, but the support he's got out there is massive. If you look at the comments on the videos, everybody's saying free Lee Murray. So what about people writing him letters or leaving his address? Could I put the address? Would they want that?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he gets letters. He does get letters from people.
But when it goes out on this though, you're not talking fucking 2 letters, you're talking things. But then again, that can lift the spirits, man. That can go, you know, that's
tell him the fucking right to down and straighten up.
but people would though, if people know what to do. If it's silent, nobody knows what to do. But if people go, okay, you can write Lee a letter, this is the address, people then get involved, and then what happens is you get some sort of energy, you'll get some sort of buzz and thinking, okay, this is it, let's start fighting again.
That's a great idea, isn't it? That's great.
So I'll leave Lee's address where people can write to him, and then anybody gets involved. You don't know who's watching or listening. Could be a copper, could be a judge, could be anybody who's got contacts anywhere, and then people, the media, for instance. You've just got to keep knocking the door. You don't know unless we try. Have you got any messages for people who's then saying they know Lee, he's saying he's done this and that? People are on podcasts talking about him.
Yeah, stop. You're doing him no favours. You're doing him no favours at all. He's done nearly 20 years in prison. We want to get him out. And all you're doing is talking shit. And that's it. If you want to be Billy Big Bollocks, go and do something yourself. Leave the man alone. Stop talking shit. That's all the family want. And he wants that as well. And his family. They just don't want this. They don't want people going on there talking nonsense. And that's all it is. Nonsense. Leave his name out of it. That's it. That's all you got to do. Let him get on with what he's got to do, and let's get him home.
And let him tell his own story.
Yes, right. Exactly. Exactly.
But because people have, when you don't hear from him or you forget, so when people are talking, they don't think he's there, or they don't think it's going to get back to him.
No.
Because if I've had messages, do you know this guy? If you know that guy, and you're thinking, nah. But it just shows you, though, this is the society we were in. It's fucked up. But it's good that you're here now to put people in their place and says, fucking shut up.
That's all you got to do. Is leave them out. Leave them out. Why are you going on there talking about robberies and, yeah, I could have done this and I should have been there? Fuck off. Leave him alone.
For anybody watching, how can I get involved? I'll put Lee's address on there to write my letter.
Yeah.
Give him some support. Give him some encouragement. And just, pick up his spirits, man. And I'll leave the link in the description for people to then sign the petition, get behind it.
Yeah. If you could do that, James, it'd be good.
Yeah, we'll do that. I'll put a post on my Instagram tonight, and get people behind it and start the movement and start getting the ball rolling, because things have went silent, and everybody else is telling Lee's story except Lee. Are people on Lee's side?
Yes, right. The man needs to be heard himself, you know. And if he did get out tomorrow, it'd be great if you'd done a podcast with him, because that would be something else. You could, you know, I mean, you know, as much as you can help him, then he'd help you, because at the end of the day, it's what makes the world go round.
Yeah, but the potential he's got coming out, the opportunities are going to be there, is going to be next level. And if he's screwed the nut, like you said earlier, he's already screwed the nut, but the education and to then help others not make the same mistakes, that's the beautiful thing about life. And that's why I've got to give the old gangsters that I've had on the show who then go and speak in schools, they've lived that life, they've served 20, 30 years, and then they want to help people. They realise life of crime is fucked up. It's a loser's mentality. But it's difficult because people need to understand the backstory. Now, the majority of the kids that are in prison have come from the broken home. 85% of people in prison never had a father.
Yeah.
So it's not a case of other bad men. What about the ones who've been abused and bullied and just had enough and just cracked to then getting a life of crime or joining a gang because you want to feel part of something? Had Chris Ryan on as well, who was SAS trainer, SAS, but used to train the kids. Every one of the kids who joined the SAS and who had passed had all come from broken homes or some sort of fucking abuse. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's difficult. You've got to understand people's stories, that not everybody's bad because they do bad stuff.
No, there's a reason behind everything, you know, and they're people that they don't understand. These kids, especially all the stabbings on the streets now, it's phenomenal, and it's getting worse. And we're not educating our youngsters. We're not educating them properly. There's no discipline no more. They've stripped everything of discipline. There's no deterrence. There's no, you know, you're not going to stop it until you put the proper deterrence in place. And you know, and these kids that are doing it, there's nothing for them to do. So they get involved in gangs. They get involved in drugs. Then it becomes a turf war. Then people get stabbed. They kill people. It's a crazy shit world we live in now.
Terry boy, would you like to finish up on anything else?
No, I'm done. If you know anything you want to do.
Listen, fair play for coming on, backing Lee, which I think is rightly so. We're at a stage now where he's served his time. Get the man out, get him to live his life, get him to then help others, not make the same mistakes he's done. The man had massive potential. People are still talking about him. People use his name because it does generate views. Whether it's positive or negative, this is just the way the world is. I'm hoping people now watch to then back it and then support it, sign the petition, write him a letter, do what you can. All we can do is create noise, and hopefully he's sitting here within the next year or two and creating magic. And hopefully, we can only see all we can do is try, Terry.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Listen, Terry,
thank you so much.
Keep doing what you're doing, big man. And it was great to see you. And anything I can help with, you know where I am.
Thank you so much.
God bless, mate.
And you.